If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on. To know my story, glad I made it out this world, cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world, cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world, cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Purim. All praises, all praises. Y'all clap it up, y'all clap it up. This is a joyous occasion. I'm glad everybody's in a great spirit. The kids, I see y'all fired up, y'all turned up. Y'all ready for tonight? Yeah? All praises. All praises. Kids, y'all already know what some of the gifts y'all got was? Y'all parents didn't tell you? You wasn't sneaking and trying to look inside? All praises. We gonna get into the lesson, but this is a beautiful occasion, y'all. I know a lot of times we think of Purim, we think about the gift giving, but a lot of times we forget about the history of it. So tonight we really gonna get an understanding on why it is we do what we do. And kids, really tonight, I'm gonna be talking to y'all. Because y'all the next generation. I'm sitting here, I was just talking to Bishop Izar, like y'all getting big fast. 10 years go by fast, right? And it's important that you guys understand the role that you play within the nation in receiving salvation. Y'all good with that? All praises, all praises. So let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 2 and verse 37. Because like I said, it's nothing wrong with getting these gifts, right? And it's what this day is for. But we can't forget the most important gift that we have, which is what? Our heritage. That's good. What else? Yahweh Shai, repentance. Exactly. The fact that we've been invited back to have an opportunity to receive eternal salvation. That is the greatest gift we could have ever received. Because before we came into this knowledge of truth, we didn't have it. The Bible says that we was hopeless, right? So let's read that. 2nd Ezra chapter 2 and verse 37.
The book of 2nd Ezra 2 and 37.
Uh-huh.
Or receive the gift that is given you and be glad.
Oh, receive the gift that has been given to us. It's crazy, y'all, because guess what? The Most High has given us a gift, but we actually have to want to receive it. Y'all ever been given a bad gift that you really didn't want to receive? That's how Israel be acting with salvation sometimes. Y'all got story upon story of wicked Israelites that didn't care about the gift of the Most High, but we got to want to receive this and be glad about it. Go ahead.
And be glad.
Uh-huh.
Giving thanks unto him that hath called you to the heavenly kingdom.
You see that? That's our calling. When y'all get older, the only thing that matters to me as far as what y'all are on, because y'all going to go off and get jobs and professions, and that is fine. But as long as you know that you are set to receive the kingdom, as long as y'all keep the commandments and fight for your people. That is the most important thing that y'all have to know as kids. Because as y'all get older, this world's going to tell you a whole lot of other stuff that y'all could be on. Y'all could be focused on making money and doing this and doing that. But we want to focus on receiving salvation. And that's why we're going to read tonight. And the Bible says in Romans that everything that was in this Bible was written for our learning. We're supposed to read this and learn and apply it. Y'all know that, right? All praises, all praises. So kids, let me ask y'all a question real quick. What do y'all think the biggest difference is from the holy people that we read about in the Bible and modern day people today? Somebody pass the mic. Yashikar, I want you to answer. What's the difference between our holy foremothers and forefathers versus what we see today?
Just the way we all carry ourselves today. Everybody's just wicked. Everything around us is wicked. Everything they teach and sell and show is just all wickedness. All the kids being brought up in wickedness. Mm-hmm. And back then, we was all brought up to be leaders and carry ourselves a certain way. The women was brought up to be wives and the men was brought up to be husbands. You know, things like that. Nowadays, everybody just care about money and all the things that's not valuable at the end of the day.
You right. Morality went out the window. They don't even teach people to become husbands and wives no more. It's more appealing to be a player or a OnlyFans model, right? That's what they teach. Why go to college? You ain't even got to hit the stripper pole no more. Y'all could just be on OnlyFans. This is what they're teaching our people to do. What else? What else is a big difference from the holy people of old versus today? Who else got something? Kason.
Simply, just like what he said, like, we were like taught differently, you know. Yeah.
All praises, all praises. I'm gonna add this because nothing that you said is wrong, but the main difference is our people back then actually cared about the nation. Nowadays, our people are selfish. We think about ourselves, and that's about it. Ain't nobody willing to put their lives on the line for Israel because they like, man, they don't appreciate me. It's going to be in vain. Imagine if Jesus Christ felt that way. He died thousands of years ago so that we could live and have an opportunity to dwell with him in the kingdom. He was looking out on our behalf. That's a big difference, and we want to make that change. The newer generation, y'all want to be kids and people that grow up to care about your nation and sacrifice your lives for the betterment of your nation, to uplift your community, uplift your people. Watch this. Go to 1 Timothy chapter 4. I want 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 12. Because a lot of times, I'm sure the kids, y'all be feeling kind of left out. Y'all feel like, well, it's the adults. They got to do stuff, and we kind of just on the sidelines. But no, y'all play a vital part in us getting back home. Go ahead and read that, verse 12.
Let no man despise thy youth.
You see that? Don't let nobody despise your youth. Y'all keeping these commandments. Y'all wearing y'all fringes. Y'all showing up to these feast days. What you have to say is important, especially when you're trying to tell somebody what they got to do to save themselves and save their soul. Don't feel like just because you're young, you know, not important or not valuable. Don't let nobody despise your youth. Go ahead.
But be thou an example of the believers.
Uh-huh.
In word.
In word. What else?
In conversation.
When y'all talking, it should be a different conversation from what I hear the kids outside talking about. Read.
In charity.
Uh-huh.
In spirit. In faith.
Even as kids, y'all should be faithful to the Most High. We have a whole history of our people that left Egypt and went into the wilderness. Y'all remember with that, right? Kids, what happened in the wilderness when the children of Israel left Egypt? You said what? In the wilderness, it was a situation where all the adults that was over the age of 20, they didn't make it to see Israel. They didn't get a chance to walk into Israel because of how they were acting and how they was feeling and dealing to the Most High. They did a lot of complaining. They did a lot of murmuring, a lot of talking mess, and the Most High didn't find pleasure in that. He said, everybody that's under that age, y'all gonna have to walk in this wilderness for 40 years, getting yourselves right, and then I'm gonna let you walk into the land of Israel. There was a process. Y'all had to learn how to be leaders in that wilderness, because guess what? The parents that y'all left with, they wasn't gonna make it. Y'all had to make sure y'all was really on point and fearing the Most High, keeping these commandments. Drop down to read verse 16.
Take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine.
Y'all, even as kids, should be paying attention to the doctrine. You shouldn't be following nobody just because they saying follow me. You should be reading your Bible and asking your parents questions to make sure that you're being brought up in the right doctrine. Read.
Continue in them.
And continue in them. Don't be like some of these kids that start to get of grown ages and they want to depart from the Most High God. Don't be like that. Y'all want to continue in this and receive salvation. Go ahead.
For in doing this, thou shalt both save thyself, them that hear thee.
So by doing these things, right, you're not only going to save yourself, but you make a lot of connections and you start to build bonds in this truth. You're going to be able to help save those that you're friends with, the people that hear you, the people that you talk with. That's the bright side of all of this. Y'all understand? All praises. So let's get into it. Let's go to the book of Esther, chapter 2. Nah, in the regular Bible. Esther, chapter 2. Now, for time's sake, we're going to skip through the story a little bit, but I'm going to make sure we touch on the important stuff. Give me Esther chapter 2 and read verse 3.
The book of Esther, chapter 2, and verse 3. And let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan, the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Haggai, or Hagi, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things be for purification, Salakia, and let their things for purification be given them. And let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti. And the thing pleased the king, and he did so.
So this is how we get introduced into Esther. At this point in time, y'all, there was a king by the name of Ahasuerus. He had a wife that didn't do things the right way, and she ended up losing her spot as queen. So the king says, you know what, I'm going to throw a pageant because I'm looking for a new queen. This is how we're getting introduced into Esther. Read on.
Now in Shushan the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away into Salakia with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is, Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother.
So through the process of Israel going into captivity, it doesn't really detail it, but for whatever reason, Esther's parents died, and Mordecai ended up taking her in and being her father and raising her. Go ahead.
And she maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter.
Drop down to read verse 10.
Verse 10. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
So keep in mind, at this time, the children of Israel, we weren't free. We weren't dwelling in our own land, right? We was actually under the Persians at this point. So Mordecai, he's trying to set things up. He's saying, you know what? I might be able to position Esther to be of aid to our people, because Mordecai was already within the king's courts. Go ahead.
And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her. Now, when every maid's turn was come to go in to King Ahasuerus, after that he had been 12 months, according to the manner of the women. For so were the days of their purification accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of mirth, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purifying of the women.
Now, this is just the king. He said, man, I need a whole year of my woman to get right before she even come to me. Go ahead.
Then thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given her to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, to the custody of Shaashgaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name.
Drop down to read verse 17.
And the king loved Esther above all women.
So here it is. Every woman had a chance to present themselves to the king, and it comes to find out that Esther had the most favor out of all of them. Go figure, right? An Israelite woman. It says she was beautiful. She had the most favor, and she actually ends up becoming the one that becomes crowned queen. Go ahead.
And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she ordained grace and favor in his sight, more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
Go ahead.
Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast.
Now drop down and go to chapter 3 and read verse 1.
The book of Esther, chapter 3 and verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advance him.
So after everything is said and done, she's made queen. In the process of time, the king ends up promoting this guy who happens to be an Agagite, which you guys remember ends up being who? An Edomite. This man is an Edomite. He comes from the man Esau, right? So he gets promoted, he gets advanced, and let's see what happens. Go ahead.
The Agagite and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gates, said unto Mordecai.
So, kids, did y'all catch that? Remember, Mordecai was a Jew. It said everybody else, they bowed down to this Edomite. But he understood. He said, man, I'm an Israelite. I'm not about to sit here and bow down to you. And y'all got to carry that same attitude today, because guess what? This world, they try to make Esau seem like the standard of life. His way of thinking and the way he does things, like you need to bow down to that. That's the superior influence, and that is not the case. The only person we bow ourselves to is who? Our king and our God. Whatever Esau got going on, y'all got to remember, y'all are superior. Y'all are not inferior to Esau, even though we're under captivity to him. But his time is running out. The Most High getting ready to come back and set a whole lot of judgment to this place to free us. All praise be to the Most High, yeah. But it's important that we really instill this within our kids, because I remember coming up and having those conflicting thoughts about white people and all of that simply because of the programming. We don't want our kids to be confused. The Most High is not the author of confusion, right? So read on.
Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment?
So they asking Mordecai, like, man, this guy coming around, don't you know you're supposed to bow down and show reverence? Why are you transgressing the commandments? Read on.
Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them.
Every day they was trying to get Mordecai to bow down to this guy, and it wasn't working. Go ahead.
They told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew.
He said, I'm not about to bow to you. Do you know the blood that runs through my veins? I come from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. What I look like bowing down to you? Read on.
And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath.
Go ahead.
And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone. And they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai.
You hear that? Just because that one brother didn't bow to this Edomite, he said, you know, at first I was just going to punish you, but then my colleagues told me that you was an Israelite. He said, I know all about your people. He said, I'm not just going to get rid of you. I'm about to find out a way to get rid of you and all your people. That's how much hatred our enemy has in his heart towards us. Y'all cannot be confused. Esau, he'll smile with you. He may even do a little bit of business with you, but you have to know at the end of the day, this is the spirit that he possesses to destroy you and your people. Ever since Esau, he said, man, the days of my father, his morning is coming to an end. After that, I'm going to slay my brother Jacob. That is within his heart. Y'all have to know that. So when we keep in these feasts and we teach these laws, it has to take root so that you don't get older and forget. Because some people forget. They start saying, well, guess what? Not all white people are bad. Have y'all come across some good white people? I'm sure you have. Y'all didn't have some Edom. Y'all gonna tell me no Edomite never held the door for you? He might have blessed you with a little bit of tip or something. And that's the whole thing. The Bible gives us the filter and the measuring stick of what good is. The laws is what's good. They can do some kind acts and all of that, but they're not a good people. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 7. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur. That is the lot before Haman from day to day, and from month to month to the 12th month, that is the month of Adar.
So pur, right? It's half of Purim. It comes from casting lots. Go ahead.
And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom.
So listen, at this point in time, this man's kingdom was vast. It went from like India all the way to Africa. It was big. And Israel was scattered all throughout there. He said, King, you have to know about this people that's scattered amongst your kingdom. And listen how he describes Israel. Go ahead.
And their laws are diverse from all people.
Our laws are diverse. That's what makes us holy. What the Most High gave us is different from what the rest of this world is doing. So if you find yourself as an Israelite trying to fit into the world, you're doing the wrong thing. It says our laws is diverse and we live by our laws. That's our culture. Don't be trying to fit into America. Go ahead.
Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
Go ahead.
If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed.
Wow. If it pleases the king, let's get rid of all of these Israelites. Why am I talking to y'all? Because y'all would be within this that he's talking about. He's not only trying to get rid of the adults, he want to get rid of kids too. Go ahead.
And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business.
So he ends up talking to the king, and the king is saying, man, the way you showing this to me, it sounds like you right. I probably should get rid of this people. Drop down and read verse 13.
Verse 13. And the letters, Salakia, and the letters were sent by posts into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill.
To what?
To destroy, to kill.
No, to help.
To kill, and to cause to perish all Jews.
No, just some of them.
All Jews, both young and old, little children and women in one day.
They wanted to massacre us, y'all, in one day. And that's why I love the culture the Most High has given us. Look at what we're gathering for right now. This is something that has meaning. When they gave us Christmas, Christmas didn't have no meaning. We got this big old tree in the house. Don't know what that's about. You bowing down, getting the gifts. You leaving Santa cookies. What does that have to do with anything? But here we are gathering because the Most High delivered us from what we reading right now. A man who wanted to destroy every single Israelite. The Most High said, nuh-uh. That's why we gathered tonight. That's why we feast for these next 2 days. But let's read on.
In one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
Not only kill them, but take them for what they worth. Take everything. Go ahead.
The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against the day. The post went out being hastened by the king's commandment.
And they wanted to make sure that this was sent out fast. It was going everywhere. And earlier when you read, I believe in chapter 1, it talks about how big his kingdom was. It had like 125 provinces. Super huge. Make sure every single one of these provinces know on this day of the 12th month, everybody puts a sword to an Israelite's head or an Israelite's neck. Go ahead.
And the decree was given to Shushan, the palace, and the king and Haman sat down to drink.
So the king and Haman, they happy about it. They drinking, they turning up. But what?
But the city Shushan was perplexed.
We was perplexed. So kids, let me ask y'all, how would you react if word came to you saying, hey, LA, they just put out a notice. Anybody that's an Israelite, we got to get killed. What's going to be your reaction? You got to do what? You got to get ready how? And look, consider y'all ages. Y'all be fighting age. Y'all be fighting right along with us. You're not going to be. Y'all big. Y'all going to have to fight, but y'all still young men. Y'all not full adults yet. Esau going to say if you 18, you grown, but the Bible says you can go to war at 20. Yeah, when you under, right, Bishop, when the whole city under siege and under attack, everybody fighting. You, even you, JR, you're going to have to pick up a sword and get to stabbing. Sisters, y'all too. Y'all going to have to pick up some kitchen knives, some scissors, and get busy. But honestly, though, what would be y'all reaction because this happened? I feel like far too many times we be reading this Bible and it's like, okay, that's a cool story, but put yourself in that story. Imagine we get a letter, hey, Next month is happening. They coming down on y'all. What's going to be your reaction? You said get ready. How would you get ready? Gather together. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Go ahead, sisters. You'll put the sword to them first? Y'all forgetting the most important thing. Step number 1, praying to the Most High. Yeah. But do you see why it's so important for us to have figures set up in Israel to lead us in those times? Because if we leave it up to everybody in here, this person gonna say, well, we gotta start stocking up on food. This person just start shooting, and everybody got their own way. But guess what Esther decided to do? Drop down and read verse, where we at right now? We done with chapter 3. Go to chapter 5. Oh, man, I think I skipped one. Hold on. Yeah, 4 and 16, the water. I forgot to put that in there. But this is what our sister Esther decided to do. And here's the thing. Remember, she's queen. She's hearing this decree first before anybody in her nation. You can only imagine how she's feeling. So she has to tell Mordecai to get the message out saying, look, this is what's going on. She went to the Most High. Read that for me.
4 and 16?
Yes, sir.
The book of Esther, chapter 4 and verse 16. Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan.
Actually, verse 15, because we have to see the wisdom that the Most High imparted to our sister. And here's the thing. Esther was a young woman. Do you think the king was out here trying to, get women out of older ages? No. He wanted the best of the best. He had all the young virgins. This was a young woman moving in the spirit, thinking about her nation. Go ahead. Verse 15.
Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer.
She said, this is what our people need to hear. Go ahead.
Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me.
Not only pray, but fast. Most High, we going to need you on this one. This is above us. We're not even in our own land right now. We in captivity as we speak. We need to fast. Why Israel hate fasting? We be having like messed up character. We be having days where we low on faith, which brothers, we just got done talking about that is crazy. We can't never be low on faith when the Most High has always been faithful unto us. That's like saying, man, Most High, I really don't know if I believe in you today. Let me check back in tomorrow, see how I'm feeling. That don't even sound right. We have to fast, y'all. We have to get into the habit of fasting as a nation. Go ahead.
And fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise.
She said, I'm going to even make the women that's around me fast. Go ahead.
I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law.
So do y'all know why that is so important? Remember earlier it said that she could only go to the king unless he put out the golden scepter and invited her in. It was a death sentence if you went to the king and he didn't summons you. So she's saying, look, what I'm getting ready to do for my nation, I'm putting my life on the line. Because I need to get to the king and tell him, yo, this thing that you didn't put out, we need to reverse this ASAP. And the king had so much love for Esther. Y'all remember how much the king loved Esther? It said that he was willing to give her half the kingdom. So she was a good woman to this man. And that's the thing too, right? As wives, young women learning to be good to your husbands is super important. And this wasn't even an Israelite man. So if you could be good to a heathen, how much better should you be to a brother of your nation?
Right.
Right? So they said, look, we got to fast, and I'm going to go up to the king unannounced, pray to God he don't kill me. Go ahead.
I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish.
She said, it is what it is. I have to try to save my people. Do you see the difference in mentality versus what the sisters are thinking about today? I just got done sharing a video on Facebook yesterday. All these beautiful women, they out clubbing and all of that. They said, name 5 books in the Bible. Oh, I can't do that. They said Joseph, Paul. What else? It's not good enough as women, because guess what? Israelite women are beautiful, but don't be vain in your beauty. Use your beauty to help your nation. That's what Esther did, right? Drop down to chapter 5 and verse 8. So she ends up coming up with this plan, right? And she said, I got to get the king and Haman by themselves. And this is where we pick up. So go ahead. 5 and 8, yep.
Verse 8. If I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition, and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king hath said.
The Bible talks about a grace of a woman and a wife. Do you see how she's talking to the king, knowing that she's already breaking the law, saying, look, I ain't trying to put too much on you, but read that again. It says, if I found favor in the sight of the king, if it pleased the king to grant my petition and perform my request. She wasn't going in there with demands like, you need to hear me out right now. She said, I got to use some finesse in this situation. I got to use some righteous finesse. Go ahead.
If I have found favor in thy sight, in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king hath said.
So she's setting up a plot. Go ahead.
Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai,
So
in
after
the
that,
king's
Haman,
gate-
he on high. He thinking like, man, I'm getting invited to a private feast, just me and the king by his wife. Cool. As soon as he seen Mordecai, his countenance fell. Go ahead.
But when he saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved from him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai.
Go ahead.
Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself.
See, Haman refrained himself. That's what Esau does now. He refrains himself. When he be seeing Israel and he see us rising to the occasion, that makes him feel a type of way. If it was up to him, he would stop this right now and put an end to all Israelites. But it says, he refrained himself. He's keeping it cool. Esau, he keeps it cool with y'all. Go ahead.
And when he came home, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she said that she had prepared, but myself, and tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king.
Go ahead. So he's sitting there boasting about everything the king then granted him. He said, look, man, I'm moving up. I didn't got this. I didn't got this much money on an increase. And then he still has to talk about Mordecai. Go ahead.
Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate.
This guy done got it all. This is not even an Edomite kingdom. This is a Persian kingdom that he didn't rise the ranks to, and is still not satisfied. He said, man, all of this power, all of this authority means nothing if I got them Israelites alive. Go ahead.
Then said Zeresh his wife and all the friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high.
You see, and this is the sad part, because our brothers, as y'all get older, y'all gonna see it now. It's a lot of interracial marriages. Israelites that go off and be with these women of other nations. They don't care about your people. This is what Haman's wife is telling him. Oh, that guy Mordecai, that Jew? Oh yeah, make a big old gallows. Hang him. I don't want you coming home feeling sad about that poor Jew no more. Forget him. That's what the women of the other nations think. Don't get it fooled. Y'all got it? We stay amongst our own. We don't date outside. We stay within Israel. And you better be getting someone that keeps the law. You're doing yourself a disservice if you marry people that don't keep the law. But go ahead.
Let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king, that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made.
Go ahead, chapter 6 and verse 1.
On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of the records of the chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the doors, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus.
So actually, my bad. Let's go back real quick because I forgot to bring this in. Go to Esther chapter 2 and read verse 19.
Verse 19.
And you're going to see how the Most High actually come back and does us a favor through the good acts of Mordecai. And that's the whole thing that you're going to get from this is, even in times of oppression, if you show yourself to be valuable, you do right by somebody, keep the law, being upright, Israelite, the Most High will bless you even in captivity. That was actually an instruction that was given to us in the book of Jeremiah, right, Ash? He said, get together, build houses, marry your kids, and do right in the land that you have so that you can actually have some favor and the Most High let you build. So go ahead and read that, verse 19.
Verse 19. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gates. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai like as when she was brought up with him.
And then also, y'all peep that out. It said Mordecai gave her this commandment. He charged her to do this thing, and she followed through just like she used to do as a kid. As an Israelite woman, it's an honorable thing to be coachable, to be teachable, and to follow the lead of a righteous man. This world is going to teach you that being combative, being extra assertive in a wicked way is like empowering, and that's not true. That's not true. It said Esther was humble and she followed directions. Just like when she was a kid, she did it when she was an adult. She didn't turn 18 and say, well, you can't tell me nothing. And Mordecai wasn't even her daddy. She didn't say, you ain't my daddy, you can't tell me nothing. It should be an easy thing for Israelite women to receive instruction from righteous Israelite men. All praises. But go ahead.
And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name.
Oh,
And-
you read verse 21?
Salaki, verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on King Ahasuerus.
So there was a coup that started to happen. These people that was under the king said, you know what, we about to make up a plot and try to kill the king. Mordecai heard of this. And remember, he worked inside the courtyard, so the king would take care of him. He was okay. He said, you know what, I should probably warn the king about this. Go ahead.
And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther, the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name.
And she's saying, look, king, as much love as you got for me, you see the type of woman I am? This is the man that raised me. So his word is real. He's letting you know somebody is out to kill you. You should listen to his word. Go ahead.
And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
So look, it turned out it was true. The king was like, man, the water, thank you. Killed them two guys, and it was written down in the book of the king so that he can have record of what happened in his kingdom, right? So now let's go back to where we's at. Chapter 6 and verse 1. So this is all in the same plot of Esther and what she didn't set up to try to save her people. It said the night before the banquet, the king was not able to sleep for whatever reason. I wonder why that was. The Most High. Because guess what he ended up doing in that night where he couldn't sleep? Let's read.
On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of the records of the
He
Chronicles.
said, I don't know why, but I just want to read about what's going on in my kingdom. Bring me the books. Go ahead.
And they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on King Ahasuerus. And the king said, what honor and dignity hath been done to Mordecai for this?
Man, all that time that passed by, Mordecai was never even rewarded for what he did for the king. Did he complain about it, though? That'd be the thing. Sometimes we want to see a return on our investment so bad, and we be feeling the type of way when we don't see instant results or instant, gifts. He said, you know what, it's all good. I know I did the right thing. And the Most High rewarded him for it afterward. But go ahead.
Then said the king's servant that ministered unto him, there is nothing done for him. And the king said, who was in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows.
Ain't that something? He's sitting there reading about Mordecai saving his life, and Haman on his way to talk about hanging Mordecai. There's no coincidence with the Most High. It's perfect timing, right? His divine intervention, as people say. Go ahead.
That he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall it be, Salaki, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor? Now Haman thought to his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than myself?
So he's sitting there saying, you know what? And the whole time he's thinking about Mordecai, but Haman came in. He said, you know what, man? The king has his eyes set on somebody in his kingdom, and I'm thinking about blessing him. What should I give this person? What type of blessing should I give this person that I'm looking at? Haman thinking he's talking about him. He's like, oh, man. He feeling good. So let's see what he ended up saying. Go ahead.
And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighteth to honor, let the royal apparel be brought, which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head. And let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes.
So he running it up. He said, man, he said, look, give him your royal apparel, give him the royal crown, bring the royal horse that you ride upon. And what else?
And bring him on horseback through the street of the city.
He said, and parade him around the city. He thinking he about to receive all of this. Whole time it's going to who? Mordecai. But here's the crazy part. That's all I needed. Go to chapter 3 again and read verse chapter 3 and verse 13.
Verse 13.
Uh-huh.
And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
This is what was intended for us. You see how the Most High come through? Yeah. But here's the thing. People don't realize the plan that Haman actually set out for, it was a 1-year plan. Started at the beginning of the year, and he said on this day at the 12th month, the end of the year, because the message had to get around to all provinces. He didn't care if you was Persian, an Edomite, Egyptian. He said if you live amongst Israel, you put your hand to the plow and you go to work. You help destroy. A whole year's plan, and it's crazy because I just take this time to think about us as a people. We're on this journey of repentance and building. What's our 1-year plan? The heathens got a 1-year plan to destroy us. What's our 1-year plan?
Right.
There's a lot of people still looking forward to the Super Bowl next year because their team didn't make it this time around. We shouldn't even be thinking about no Super Bowl next year. We should be trying to get up out of here. You see how comfortable we are in captivity? And it's not a sin to like sports, but it's just crazy sometimes the mentality that we fall into because we're so conditioned. Oh, yeah, I'll see y'all next year at the Super Bowl. It's all good. I'm trying to be in the kingdom next year. I don't want to be here no more. This place is vexing. The fact that we still battling with our people, trying to get them to believe in the book that they really live by the book that they say they believe in, it's vexing. Right? But go to chapter 7. Actually, did we read where Mordecai received it all? No. Let's read that real quick. Chapter 6 and verse 10. Oh, okay, go ahead. You finish 9.
And let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of the one and the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man withal, whom the king delighteth to honor, and bring him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor.
Go ahead.
Then the king said to Haman, make haste, and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said.
You know he's waiting for it right now, like, take it to your house. And what's he end up saying?
And do even, Salakia, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew.
You know his mouth probably dropped. He never even had a chance to talk to the king about hanging Mordecai just yet. You know his mouth just dropped like, no way. But read on.
That sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken.
Go ahead.
Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him,
oh my goodness, go ahead.
Thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate.
You could imagine how Mordecai felt. Like, man, all them years of not bowing down to you, I knew it was going to pay off. I knew it was going to pay off. Go ahead.
But Haman hasted to his house, mourning and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends everything that had befallen
It
him.
said he was so ashamed, he didn't even walk in honor back to his house. He covered himself to get back home. Hasted, he had to hurry up. He was feeling the type of way. Go ahead.
Then said his wife, Salakia, then said his wise men and Zeresh, his wife, unto him, if Mordecai be the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shall surely fall before him.
And now his family starting to give him that counsel, like, yeah, man, you messed up. You fumbled it. This same person you hate, if this guy just got promoted by the king, imagine what's going to happen to his people. You're not going to prevail. And what does that have to say about us? When we really do things the right way, especially when the Most High is with us, these other nations will not prevail against us. The only reason why they prevail against us right now is because we continue to sin. That's why it's so important for you as the youth to understand the mistakes of Israel. You have to read the history of the wilderness. Because guess what? We're in the wilderness again. The same thing the Most High was doing back then is the same thing that he's doing now. He's trying to prove us to see whether or not we're going to keep the commandments. The longer that we half step and don't keep the commandments and make excuses, the longer we stay in captivity. Are y'all looking forward to getting older and working for Esau? Y'all can't wait to get a job? We're not supposed to be working. We're supposed to be ruling this earth. That's what the Most High made us for. These other nations, they're supposed to be working for us. We're supposed to have our own businesses that are thriving. We shouldn't be going to school just to learn how to work for an Edomite. We should be employing one another. Even as young as y'all should have businesses because y'all have great minds. But go ahead.
And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains and hasted to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared.
And with all of that, he still had to go to the banquet that Esther threw. Go ahead, chapter 7, verse 1. Actually, verse 3.
Verse 3, then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request.
So I'm bet the king is looking like, what you mean, your people? Because remember, the whole time Mordecai said, don't show your people, don't show your nation. This whole time, the king never knew that he was actually married to a Jew because she concealed it so well. He got all this love for her. He said, I'll give you half my kingdom. You don't think he'll clearly say, yeah, I'm not going to have it to where your people going to die? So she finally removed the veil. Boom. Fringes showing, blue strip, whatever. I'm a Jew. Go ahead.
For we are sold. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage.
Hey, look at that. She said it would be different if it was just like to where we had to serve you. If we was just, servants to you, that's different. I'll hold my tongue, but I can't hold my peace no more because now there's a decree put out that my people going to be put to death. Go ahead.
Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he, that durst presume in his heart to do so?
So they had a feast. It's only the three of them, Haman, the king, and Esther. You can only imagine how Haman feeling right now. His stomach probably fell to his butt. He like, oh, king is hot. Who said this? To kill you? Who? What'd she say?
And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman.
This person right here. I bet you he was like, oh. Read.
Then Haman was afraid before the king and queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make requests for his life to Esther the queen.
So now he trying to beg. Wait. Just think about what you're doing. Sisters, y'all gonna let that deter you from saving your people? Edomites begging for their lives, is that gonna stop you from doing what you got to do to save your people? Go ahead.
For he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king.
Read.
Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine. And Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was.
So he begging and pleading. He all over her bed like, please, change your mind. Tell him it wasn't me. The king walk in and see Haman on his wife's bed and what?
Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in this house?
Not only you trying to kill my wife, now you want to take her? Oh, my goodness. Go ahead.
As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
They took him up out of there. Read.
And Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold, also the gallows 50 cubit high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who has spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of the king. So like it standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon.
Man, the same gallows that he made for Mordecai to be hung on, the king said, hang him on those. All praises, right? This is the God that we serve, y'all. Yeah, clap it up. This is the God of Israel. We be feeling like the Most High don't hear our prayers and everything, but the truth is we just not doing enough to grab his attention. I know that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of Israelites because we just be, I'm just doing so much, Lord. I be keeping your commandments. And the Most High is like, really? You ain't fasted like you need me. You ain't praying like you need me. Right? But go to, let me see. That was verse 10, right? And so they hung him on it? No. Go ahead.
Verse 10, so they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
Go to chapter 8 and verse 3. So all praises. One enemy is out the way, but what's the issue still at hand? The decree was put out. It was sent to all nations. So Haman, cool, he's taken out the way, but his word is still alive and well. The rest of Ahasuerus' kingdom is getting ready to kill Israel on that appointed day. Read.
Verse 3, and Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews.
Go ahead.
Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king, and said, if it please the king, and if it be found favor in his sight, and the king, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes.
Man, do you see how humble she is approaching this man? If you found favor, if it pleases you, if you feel like it's the right thing to do, not because I'm saying it, but, if you feel like it's the right, it's letting you know the standard of how Israelite women are supposed to be speaking to their husbands. Go ahead.
Let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews, which are in all the king's provinces.
Uh-huh.
For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people?
Young sisters, this is the mentality that you guys have to learn to have if you don't have it already. It shouldn't be a situation for where it's easy for you to live your life knowing that your people is not being dealt with the right way, knowing that your people is suffering. She said, I can't have no good life knowing that my people is about to suffer. For your average selfish person today, that's no problem. They be saying, you know what, that's their problem. I need to focus on me and my happiness. Have you guys heard that before? Don't let those type of things come out your mouth, because that's not what righteous women did in the Bible. You got to care about everybody. Go ahead.
Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen and to Mordecai the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews.
Drop down and read verse 11.
Verse 11. Wherein the king granted the Jews, which were in every city, to gather themselves together and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the powers of the people and province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
So he said, look, straight from the king, I'm giving y'all access to arm yourselves. Ain't that something? We would think that word be put out and it's not going to happen. He said, no, too much damage has been done. It's too many people that have already been promised rewards for killing y'all. They not finna stop just because. At this point, y'all need to arm yourselves. Get ready. That was being sent out now to all provinces. It don't matter if it was 50 of y'all in one spot, if it was just us here in LA. He said, arm yourselves and get ready for that day. And guess what? When you kill and overcome, you take their stuff for a prey. Add it to your own treasury, right? Now, we got to deal with the battle because it ended up happening. Our people had to fight. We have to fight one day, y'all. We got to prepare ourselves mentally, spiritually, physically. Chapter 9 and verse 1.
Now in the 12th month, that is the month Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them.
You see that? Our enemies was hoping for this day. The last two lessons, right? I believe Bishop Izar touched on it, and also Bishop Tazai on that Psalm 83. All of those nations that have come together with one consent to be against the children of Israel. This is what they can't wait for. You see Esau now, he's getting ready. He be at the gun range. He's teaching his kids how to use weapons, gun safety and all of that. And here it is, Israelites, we be scared to let our kids hold guns and learn how to use guns. Our little kids is on TikTok learning weird dances, and the women is twerking. The men, they out here selling drugs. You're trying to get money. Whole time the rest of the world is getting ready for war. Y'all see everything Donald Trump is putting into action? I believe this weekend coming up, what's the group? Hamas. They got some hostages. Trump said if y'all don't release them hostages come Saturday, all hell breaking loose. That's towards Hamas. What's it going to be when it's all hell's going to break loose on Israel? We got to get ourselves ready. Go ahead.
Though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had rule over them that hated them. The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of King Ahasuerus to lay hand on such as sought their hurt. And no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people.
You see, the Most High was with us. Those people came to assault and said they couldn't do nothing with us because the Most High, he put that fear upon us. And the other nations, they was like, man, yeah, we done went the wrong way. Drop down to read verse 4.
Verse 4. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter, and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them.
Most High said we was having our way. Having our way. But we got to be, as a people, get back to that spot to where we want to do that for one another. Right now, we don't even want to go to this extent to save our nations, to save ourselves. We low-key just hoping Christ's going to come back and settle everything. That's not what the Bible says. There's a lot of people just hoping, they still low-key believe in that little rapture. Like one day I'm just going to be on my way to work and God just going to bring me up in the clouds. No. The Bible says we don't have to go to war for real. But Christ's going to come through and he going to give that finishing 1-2. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. All praise be to the Most High. And here's the thing, like during a time of war, because y'all know we at war right now, it's not necessarily all physical, but we're definitely in a spiritual battle. When we read the history of the Maccabees, y'all, when Judas and his family did what they did and went to war on behalf of the nation of Israel, Greece and all of that was still having the Olympics. Do you think they was worried about that? Was they invested in what was going on? Or was they worried about winning the war for their people? We in a whole war right now, and Israel is focused on everything but fighting.
It's crazy you mentioned Greece, because they getting ready to celebrate Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah.
That's one of their holidays that they celebrated.
Yep.
During the time of our destruction.
Look how, here's the whole thing, right? The Super Bowl, Kendrick Lamar, this has been breaking headlines everywhere. And just to keep Israel even more entertained and more lost and confused, guess who's dropping an album on Valentine's Day? Drake. Just keeping our people further, and it's sad. I get online and just see the conversation of Israel, and we have such a long way to go. We are far from being ready to go to war against our enemies. We too busy being entertained and chasing luxury. We know we in captivity, but we expect a life full of luxury. We feel a type of way when we don't have certain items in our life or we can't afford to go to certain places. It's crazy. The mindset has to shift. And I'm hoping we could plant seeds in these kids to where y'all grow up and don't be focused on the nonsense like how some of us are at times. Y'all got to be better than we are. Go ahead. Drop down and read. Where we at? Verse 4? Read verse 5.
Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke, with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them.
And this is just in one place. Look what happened. Go ahead.
And
This is where Mordecai was. And Mordecai, people just like Judas Maccabeus, how the rest of Israel was getting courage and being filled with zeal off of his acts, the same thing was happening with Mordecai. Remember, he got promoted in front of everybody. He got paraded through the city, and they said, hey, Mordecai going to war, putting in work. What you think that did for the rest of Israel? Made them say, hey, give me a sword. Go ahead.
And in Shushan the palace, the Jews slew and destroyed 500 men.
How many?
500 men.
Just in Shushan, that's the palace. We killed 500 people that was coming against us. The way this is looking like is like some, y'all seen that movie, The Purge? The king, he took off everything. He said, I'm not finna send no forces in to protect y'all. This is on y'all. I'm not gonna arrest y'all for defending yourselves, but it was lawlessness out there. He said, even in the palace, people was dropping dead, 500. Drop down to read verse 17.
On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same, rested they, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th thereof, and on the 15th day of the same they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
You see, that's something we're supposed to celebrate when we conquer our enemies. I believe that was you that brought out that scripture, right? That said, we're more than conquerors. We're more than conquerors. We're supposed to conquer our enemies, but here we are being conquered. Go ahead.
Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another.
And of sending portions of one to another, gifts and things of that nature. That's what we're getting ready to witness these kids experience right now, and I know they're gonna love it. And love your gifts, but just know the only reason why we was able to do that is because we armed ourselves and we believed in the Most High and fought to free ourselves. Right. Go ahead.
And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly.
And don't let this be a situation, kids, as y'all get older where you say, well, technically it's not really a Sabbath, so I don't have to be there. You want to honor your foreparents. They risked their lives so that you could feast and have a good time. Show up to these feast days. Show up to these feasts. We have a beautiful and rich history. We celebrate victory tonight, y'all. This is something worth coming together for. Yeah. But let's read on.
As the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy.
So this is why we celebrate this feast, right? And I know we got some people that's keeping the feast for the first time tonight. All praise be to the Most High. Yeah, all praises. Brother Ebenezer, right? This your first time even hearing about this feast, right? Not even knowing. This has been under our nose our whole life, bro. Our grandmas got Bibles that got dust this thick on it. I never even wanted to open it up and read because I felt like what I was getting at the Christian church was good enough. Whole time I was being fooled. Read this, man. We got a rich history. It ain't one celebration that America gave us that amounts to this. Not one. They gave us Christmas, which is some nonsense, and said you get gifts for one day, but here it is. We get to celebrate 2 days. The Most High giving us something way better than the world can ever offer us. But go ahead.
And from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy.
Feasting and joy. It shouldn't be a situation where the world got you so in a slump to where you can't enjoy the victories of our forefathers. Forget the world for tonight. We celebrating. And tomorrow. Go ahead.
And of sending portions one to another. And gifts to the poor.
And gifts to the poor. Look out for your people. It's cool to like give your friends and stuff, but the people that don't have it all together like you have it, give them some things. Let them experience joy and to feel loved. Real talk. Drop down to read verse 26.
Wherefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore For all the words of this letter and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which of Salakia, and which had come unto them, the Jews ordained and took upon them, and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail.
It should not fail. Every year, as long as we gonna be here, I want to be seeing all of y'all at these feasts. Go ahead.
That they would keep these 2 days according to their writing and according to their appointed time every year.
All praises. Now, real quick, because I didn't get a chance to touch this earlier. Let's go to Esther chapter 1. I want to show y'all why it was even a situation to where Esther even had an opportunity to become queen to help save her people, right? And again, this is for the kids. This is something y'all have to understand because y'all not going to be kids forever. Yashakar, you 18 now, right? 10 years ago, you was 8. That time went by fast, huh? Another 10 years, y'all going to be older. It's going to be more. Y'all going to be having kids soon. We got to impress upon the culture and set a new standard for how we live. It's important. We have to, right? Esther chapter 1 and verse 5.
Verse 5. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small. 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace.
Drop down and read verse 10. So the king, he's getting territory. He's throwing a great feast for his whole kingdom. Go ahead.
Verse 10. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti, the queen, before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princess her beauty.
So look,
he had a
beautiful wife. He said, man, we feasting. I'm feeling good. Baby, come here. I want to show the king how beautiful you are. What I got is my possession. Go ahead.
But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment.
Go ahead.
By his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him.
He was made a fool at that point. He's sitting there saying, y'all, I'm about to show y'all my wife, and she don't never come. He was looking like an idiot up there. She embarrassed him. Go ahead. Drop down to read verse 16.
Verse 16. And Memucan answered before the king and the princess, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only.
This is what his advisors is telling him. Say, king, the situation is worse than you think. She ain't only do wrong by you, but what?
But also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all the women.
And what deed was that? Disobedience, defiance,
so that
disrespect. Go ahead.
So that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes.
It said, man, the rest of the women of the world is going to hear what your wife did, and they going to think it's okay for them to do that in their house. Vashti did it, and ain't nothing happened to her. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
When it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought before him, but she came not. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes which have heard of the deed of the queen.
And these are men of renown. These are the princes. They said, man, if they not going to listen to the king, what hope does the average fellow have? That's what we seeing now. Sisters don't even want to look a brother way unless you got king status. 6 figures and all of this other nonsense that they be requiring, right? Go ahead.
Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath.
Now look at what we got today. Contempt and wrath within Israelite households because of what? An example of this, basically. So that's how Esther even got propositioned to be queen, because he got Vashti up out of there. He said, I can't deal with this. The world has to see that is not okay. What do we learn from that? Young women, as you guys get older, right, and desire to be wives, make sure that because Vashti had friends. I'm pretty sure that was egging her on, saying, it's okay, girl. You empowered. Don't worry about that. No, make sure you surround yourself around women that are good wives, older sisters that can teach you how to be obedient, how to respect your husbands. That's mandatory. The Bible says it. It says the older women need to teach the younger women how to love their husbands and how to love their kids. Brothers, what do y'all learn from that? Especially as law keepers, y'all righteous fighting to save your people. You should never settle for sisters that disrespect you or disobedient to you. That's unacceptable. All praise be to the Most High. So all praises Israel. We getting ready to celebrate. Kids, I know y'all excited to see the gifts. I'm excited to see what y'all got. We gonna close out with that. All praise be to the Most High. Let's get to the celebrating.
If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
The Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was